The repair bay of Station Kepler 442b hummed with the familiar sounds of Ryan's work, the whir of plasma welders, the gentle hiss of hydraulic lifts, and the occasional curse when a particularly stubborn bolt refused to budge. He wiped grease from his hands with a worn rag, examining the sleek fighter craft that had been brought in earlier that morning. "Another draconian ship," Emma observed, entering the bay with a steaming cup of synthetic coffee. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and her engineering uniform bore the same grease stains that marked all mechanics on the Frontier station. "Third one this week." Ryan nodded, running his fingers along the ship's iridescent hull. The Draconians were an enigmatic species, ancient, powerful, and surprisingly willing to trade with the younger races of the galaxy. Their technology was millennia ahead of humanity's, yet they seemed to find human craftsmanship acceptable. "Their metallurgy is incredible," Ryan muttered, more to himself than to Emma. "Look at these stress patterns. This hull could probably survive a direct hit from a photon torpedo." A soft whimpering sound echoed from somewhere near the ship's cargo hold. Both humans froze. "Did you hear that?" Emma whispered. The sound came again, a mournful, almost musical cry that tugged at something deep in their chests. Ryan grabbed his scanner and followed the source. Behind a stack of replacement parts huddled in the shadows was something that made both humans gasp. It was small, no larger than a house cat, covered in scales that shimmered like molten gold. Tiny wings drooped from its back and crystalline tears rolled down its elongated snout. In its clawed hands it clutched what appeared to be a broken toy, a miniature starship made of the same iridescent material as the fighter. "Is that?" Emma breathed. "A dragon hatchling," Ryan finished, his voice filled with wonder and terror in equal measure. The young Draconian looked up at them with eyes like liquid starlight, and the crying intensified. It held up the broken toy, and even without understanding its language, the message was clear. "Please fix it." Ryan's hands shook slightly as he knelt down. Dragons were not just another alien species, they were legends made flesh, beings whose empires spanned half the galaxy. Their adults were the size of battleships, capable of breathing plasma hot enough to melt asteroids, and here was one of their children, alone and crying in his repair bay. "Hey there, little one," Ryan said softly, extending his hand. The hatchling sniffed cautiously, then allowed him to take the broken toy. Emma watched in fascination as Ryan examined the miniature ship. "The propulsion matrix is cracked," he murmured, "and the power coupling is completely severed. But the materials—" He shook his head. "I've never seen anything like this. Can you fix it?" Emma asked. Ryan looked at the crying hatchling, then back at the toy. "I can try, but I'll need to improvise. Our tools weren't designed for draconian technology." For the next 2 hours, Ryan worked with a delicacy he'd never needed before. He couldn't simply replace the alien components. Instead, he had to understand them, to feel their purpose and function. Emma assisted, her steady hands helping him navigate the microscopic repairs. The hatchling watched their every move, its crying gradually subsiding to occasional sniffles. When Ryan's human-made power coupling proved incompatible, the little dragon actually crawled closer, its tiny claws pointing to a specific component while making soft chirping sounds. "I think it's trying to help," Emma said, amazed. "Smart little guy," Ryan agreed, following the hatchling's guidance. Somehow, the young dragon seemed to understand the toy's construction better than its human repairers. Finally, after countless adjustments and one moment where Ryan was certain he'd destroyed the toy entirely, a soft blue glow emanated from the miniature ship. The hatchling's eyes widened, and it clapped its tiny claws together in obvious delight. Ryan activated the toy's flight mode, and the little ship rose into the air, performing graceful loops around the repair bay. The hatchling squealed with joy, a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze, and launched itself into the air with powerful wing beats to chase its beloved toy. Neither human noticed the massive shadow that fell across the bay's entrance. Emperor Velthros had been searching for his youngest offspring for 3 cycles. The hatchling had a tendency to wander, drawn by curiosity and the fearlessness of youth. When the tracking systems had finally located little Zephyr on this human station, Velthros had prepared for the worst. But instead of finding his child in distress or danger, he witnessed something extraordinary. 2 humans, members of a species the Draconian Empire barely considered worthy of notice, had spent hours repairing a simple toy. Not for payment or political gain, but simply because a child was crying. Valthros watched as his hatchling played with the restored toy, its joy infectious enough to bring smiles to the humans' faces. The male human's repairs were crude by draconian standards, but they were effective. More importantly, they were made with care, with love for a creature not of his own species. The Emperor remained hidden as little Zephyr finally tired and curled up in a nest of engine rags, clutching the toy to its chest. The humans covered the sleeping hatchling with a thermal blanket, speaking in hushed tones about contacting the Draconian embassy in the morning. Only then did Valthros step into the light. Ryan and Emma froze as the massive dragon filled the repair bay, its scales gleaming like dark metal in the station's harsh lighting. Golden eyes, ancient and intelligent, regarded them with an intensity that made both humans want to run. "You have shown kindness to my offspring," Valthros said, his voice like distant thunder. "This will not be forgotten. We didn't know," Ryan stammered. "That it was my child? Or that it was a dragon at all?" The Emperor's expression was unreadable. "Tell me, human, would your actions have been different if you had known?" Ryan looked at the sleeping hatchling, then back at the towering Emperor. "No, sir. A crying child is a crying child, no matter what species." For a long moment, Valthros said nothing. Then slowly he nodded. "The Draconian Empire has underestimated humanity," he said finally. "This too will not be forgotten." As dawn broke over Station Kepler 442b, the Emperor departed with his child, but not before leaving behind something that would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever: the gratitude of dragons and all that such a gift entailed.